From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Wednesday, October the 21st, 2020. The IDF discovered a terror tunnel yesterday from Gaza into Israel and was further examining it today. The IDF tweeted that the tunnel crossed dozens of meters into Israel. However, it did not cross the underground barrier that the IDF constructed, whose sensors reportedly detected the Gaza tunnel. The tunnel, the IDF tweeted, is a violation of Israeli sovereignty, an attempt to terrorize our civilians, and an abuse of international humanitarian aid, holding terror group Hamas responsible. Israeli military chief Aviv Kochavi described the tunnel today without going into great detail. He said it was a highly significant asset for the enemy, and we will continue to take care of it and the subterranean threat with every method and every advanced means, from technology to intelligence. And just 2 hours after the tunnel was exposed, the IDF tweeted that terrorists in Gaza fired one rocket toward Israeli civilians. It was intercepted by the Iron Dome. In response to the rocket, Israeli aircraft last night struck underground Hamas infrastructure in Gaza. Israel's Minister of Defense, Benny Gantz, is heading to the United States tonight to meet with his American counterpart, Mark Esper. Gantz's office said the security meeting at the Pentagon will include discussions with other officials there as well. It is believed that some of those discussions, at least, will be on the U.S. possibly selling F-35 fighter jets to the United Arab Emirates and maintaining Israel's qualitative military edge. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo expressed his hope that Sudan could soon follow in the footsteps of the UAE and Bahrain, normalizing ties with Israel. The Associated Press reported Monday that President Trump said that the republic in Northeast Africa will be removed from the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism if it goes ahead with its pledge to pay $335 million to American terror victims and their families. Pompeo said if this happens, he hopes that Sudan would then recognize Israel. He told reporters, "We are working diligently with them to make the case for why that's in the Sudanese government's best interest to make that sovereign decision. We hope that they'll do that, and we hope that they'll do that quickly." Israel Prize-winning scholar Yeshua Blau has died. Blau was a renowned expert in the fields of Semitic languages, in biblical Hebrew grammar, and Judeo-Arabic. Born in Romania, Blau fled the Nazis in 1938 to pre-state Israel. A prolific author, Blau was still writing and publishing this year before his death yesterday at the age of 101. Well, more vandalism at Jewish cemeteries and at a Holocaust memorial in Greece to report to you about today. The country's Jewish council said that graffiti, including the phrase "with Jews you lose," was spray painted Friday onto the Holocaust monument in Thessaloniki, dedicated to its 50,000 Jews murdered during the Holocaust. And the words "Death to Israel" were found at the city's Jewish cemetery. And on the island of Rhodes, 4 graves were vandalized in its Jewish cemetery. Greece's foreign ministry condemned the monument's vandalism, calling it an unacceptable act which damages the memory of our fellow citizens and all victims of Nazism. Jewish organizations noted the recent landmark trial of the Greek neo-Nazi group Golden Dawn, which we reported to you about, whose leaders were sentenced to jail for 13 years each last week. CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt, tweeted that not even a week after the leadership of the neo-Nazi Golden Dawn Party was convicted, several Jewish cemeteries and a Holocaust memorial were desecrated in Greece. This is a despicable act, he wrote, of hateful vandalism and cannot be tolerated. The World Jewish Congress tweeted of the desecrations, "This cannot be tolerated," noting that even after major steps were recently taken in Greece against racism, the fight is ongoing. Well, some promising news in the progress of a breathalyzer test for the coronavirus. Israeli pharmaceutical company NextGen Biomed said today that it has identified COVID-19 biomarkers through gas compounds, which hopefully will allow it to find traces of COVID-19 in the breath and lead to a fast and easy breathalyzer test to identify the virus. NextGen is merging with Israeli company Centec Medical, who conducted trials with Meir Medical Center in this effort.
Breath technology would enable identification of the virus before the patient shows symptoms, thereby enabling us to reduce the spread of the virus. Another major advantage is the potential to fight additional viruses in the future. It's the nature of viruses to change all the time, undergoing various mutations. The ability to update the genetic fingerprint of a virus within days of a specific mutation would save precious life-saving time. It's possible that in the very near future, we might be able to identify the coronavirus with one simple breath, and Israel will bring great tidings to the world for the fight against dangerous viruses, now and in the future.
The findings will now be verified over the next few weeks in order to move the process forward. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Wednesday, October the 21st. At 7 o'clock, it's Witness with Holocaust survivor Judith Altman. At 8, a discussion from the recent AIPAC National Policy Conference on how to respond to intersectional attacks against Zionism and the State of Israel by progressive groups. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with Israeli activist Einat Wilf and Israeli journalist Adi Schwartz to talk about the Palestinian insistence on a right of return. At 10:30, Arab-Israeli singer, actress, and activist Mira Awad discusses Muna, the drama series she created with Michelle Divon from the Other Israel Film Festival at the Marlene Meyerson JCC. And coming up next, it's Thinking Out Loud. And that's the JBS News Update for Wednesday, October the 21st, 2020. I'm Teisha Bader. Stay healthy. Stay well.